Hi, my name is Amy Fortool, and I'll be doing a mindfulness and creative journaling workshop today. Thank you so much for participating. A little bit of background about me. Before I became chronically ill or aware that I was chronically ill, and certainly before it became debilitating, I dedicated about 20 years of my life to theater and social outreach, telling stories, using theater as a vehicle to tell stories of people who were coming from marginalized communities. In the later part of my career, I developed a one-woman show on body image, eating disorders, and sexuality, and I toured the country in theaters, educational settings, and educational settings for medical professionals. So as that part of my life came to a close, I decided to move into teaching yoga and meditation. And I feel like today that kind of all of that together created the foundation for this work. It actually, for me, spiritually, emotionally, physically prepared me to live in my body with the limitations as it is today. So these are exercises I've been doing for years and years and years, but I've never found them to be more important or more critical to connect me with myself and actually learn how to take that word self-compassion and put it into practice with the limitations and the unpredictability of my body as it is today. So my goal is to just share all this with you, take it or leave it, try it on, see how it feels, and just throw out whatever doesn't work or feel good. I think that's all. I'm ready to start. Okay, so if you would, if you're lying down, that's fine. If you're sitting up, place one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly. We're going to start with some meditation exercises, breath work, before we go into the writing. So if you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you're not comfortable, for me, when my POTS or the orthostatic intolerance is active, sometimes closing my eyes can increase that feeling of sway or loss of balance. If that's going on for you, just gently open your eyes and find a spot in front of you, maybe 4 to 6 feet. Soften your gaze and just focus on the physical sensation of your breath. Some days my breath is really jumpy, so I just try to get kind of underneath the breath and witness the breath without judgment. But just notice how it feels to allow my body to breathe itself. Just know that you breathe in and know that you breathe out. And honor your own natural pace, natural rhythm of the breath. On your next breath cycle, follow the breath all the way through on the in-breath. And see if you can create kind of a gap at the top of the breath. And then follow the out-breath all the way through. And just witness that cycle a few times. Soften your jaw. Soften the skin around your eyes. Soften your belly, your fingertips, your toes. And on the next breath cycle, just notice where your body's speaking to you and where it's speaking the loudest. So for me, that's in the lower left shoulder blade, my jaw, and the left side of my neck. So whatever's kind of most prominent to you right now, witness the in-breath and visualize the breath moving through that part of your body like soothing medicine. And in the out breath, soften. And if you can't soften that part of the body, see if you can soften the muscles around that part of the body. Watch the in-breath going into that part of the body that's tense or gripping. And on the out-breath, soften, relax, surrender, and let go. On your next breath cycle, I'm going to invite you to imagine a pleasing memory, a pleasant memory, or a safe space, a safe image, whatever brings you comfort and ease. And as you breathe in, what are your fingertips, your toes, your face, your belly? What does it feel like to breathe in that calming, soothing, safe memory? And as you breathe out, just kind of relaxing into it, savoring that memory. And let's follow the breath cycle a few more times, connecting with that safe space. And on the out breath, just let that image go. And now we're going to breathe into joy. And what does joy feel like? And exhale into happiness, contentment, ease. Now I want to invite you to remember a moment of suffering, a moment of difficulty, either in your body, maybe in an interaction with your husband, with a friend, with a medical practitioner. And what does your body feel like there? And just practice trusting in your own resilience, your own strength, your own body as a safe container for any and all feelings. And breathe into that moment. And what are your fingertips, your toes, your face, your belly, your jaw? What does it feel like there? And when you breathe out compassion, comfort, ease, spaciousness. Breathing into the moment of suffering and breathing out spaciousness, comfort, ease. And last, I want to invite you to imagine yourself as a child, a young child experiencing that suffering. And breathe into the child and come up with your own phrase here. Maybe it's something like, sweetheart, I love you. I'm here for you. I won't abandon you. I'll take care of you. You're safe. And just follow that breath cycle and comfort that part of you as you would any child who is hurting or suffering or afraid. Breathing in that soothing, loving medicine on the in-breath and breathing out calm, spaciousness, and ease. And then to close, let's do a light body scan of the whole body from head to toe. And breathe into the body and know that you're breathing in. And breathe out, relax, soften, and let go. And when you're ready, if your eyes aren't open already, very slowly, very gently, flutter the eyelids open and find a spot on the floor in front of you. And soften your gaze. Notice the floor, the ceiling, the four walls around you. And start to gently come back, widen your peripheral vision and come back into the space. And release. release your practice. Just check in with yourself and notice how you're feeling. So this is something that I've done when I'm waiting for a medical appointment that I'm anxious about, right? I don't do it necessarily with my eyes closed. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But this whole breath cycle of breathing in first, where is my body holding the tension? Breathing out, relaxing and softening the tension. And then breathing into joy, a safe memory, a comforting space. Breathing out and then breathing into the suffering that is there. So I actually acknowledge what's there. I'm not trying to push it down so that it comes up louder. I'm trying to be with both, with the whole experience of that moment and of who I am, and then coming back into the calming breath. So the reason we do that breath cycle is to unplug from the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response, right? So that part of us back in the day when a lion was jumping out, we had to protect ourselves. There's this fight or flight panic response. Adrenaline, cortisol, all the stress hormones are rushing so that we can protect ourselves, so that we can defend ourselves. But in modern day living, too much of that is just going to cause extreme stress. So what you want to do is practice this breath work to kind of slow down the central nervous system, plug in and activate the parasympathetic nervous system response, which is just going to calm down. We know that as the rest and digest cycle. So that's also part of why you're doing it, is just physiologically unplug from that panic and be able to be more present, speak your truth, and get your needs met as they come. Okay, so we're going to move on to the writing exercise component now. So if you have a laptop or paper or pen, anything that you want to get out to practice some of the writing. Okay, so these are some stream of consciousness writing exercises that sometimes when I'm in that obsessive worry place or the panic, fight or flight place, and I don't even know what it is I'm thinking or what's going on or how to process emotionally what's going on. I've done this in a Starbucks and just pull out a Starbucks napkin and a pen. I've done this at home in bed in my journal on days when my body is shutting down and I'm feeling frustrated, panicked, devastated, hopeless, despairing. I've done it in moments where I've actually been able to walk. Like let's say I've had 2 weeks of immobility and I get this window of opportunity is what I usually call it. And I get to go sit by the river and breathe in the water and the mud and the sun on my face. So sometimes I'll use these exercises to capture that on the page so that when I'm in those dark places, I kind of have an opportunity to go back to what helps me and revisit that on a sensory level. So what we're going to do is start off with some really basic exercises. Stream of consciousness, meaning you're going to write as fast as is physically comfortable, not pushing yourself, of course, but as fast as is physically comfortable in order to kind of beat the censor, or beat the inner critic, the part of you that wants to edit out what you're writing, that inner judge. So I'm going to give you a writing prompt, and it'll be very simple. We'll time it for 45 seconds. And then all I need you to do is just write any words that come to mind, anything. It can be a cluster, it can be a list, it can be a paragraph, it can be a poem. It doesn't matter the form. Spelling doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you lay your truth on the page. So when it comes to the point of sharing, obviously you can pass or you can share. And what I want to invite you to do is recognize and honor your own boundaries here. So when it comes to the sharing part, and I'll review this again when we get there, but when it comes to the sharing part, skim over what you've written and look at maybe there's like what I call a hot spot on the page, that part that's really resonant to you. or like a gem inside the mud, whatever that phrase is that really speaks to your heart, maybe makes you a little bit nervous to share, but underneath that nervousness, there's this bedrock of calm. That's a way to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone and express what you're feeling. But if there's a feeling of panic or shame or being too exposed, that is not where to push yourself. That's your inner wisdom saying, this is private, this is for me. So that way you have the total freedom to express anything that you want on the page. Know that you can share, but you don't have to share. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna start with a 45-second exercise. I'll give you a phrase. I'm setting my timer here. I'll give you a phrase and just write whatever comes to mind. Okay. Choose one of these two prompts, either things I love or things I want. Things I love or things I want, and go. Okay, bring that phrase to a close. Breathe. Notice if your body's tensing. Notice what you're feeling. Soften. Next one. Things I miss or things I long for. Things I miss or things I long for. And stop and breathe. So if you have a pen, you can put that down for a minute. We're just going to breathe just like we did in the beginning. Just notice, close your eyes, keep them open, whatever worked for you before. Notice what your body's feeling. You don't have to name it, you don't have to give it words, just connecting with the sensory experience. Maybe getting underneath that, and what are you feeling emotionally? And how do those two connect? Just noticing, not naming or labeling, just being with the experience as it is. And we'll come back into the space. Okay. And now I'm going to invite some volunteers. You can read or you can pass. So what I want to reinforce, if you pass, it's not a cop-out, okay? If you pass, you're demonstrating the ability to set boundaries. We have to do this in everyday life living with chronic illness, okay? Don't plow through any of this. You don't have to share any of this. All right. But if you want to put some of it out there, if there's one of those prompts that gives you that feeling that we talked about before, a little bit of shaky, a little bit of nervousness, but underneath it a sense of calm, that would be the part to share. Is anybody interested in sharing, or do you want to keep going with the writing?
I'll share.
Okay.
I don't know if I have any real specifics, but in the two prompts themselves,
Yeah.
I noticed that I'm finding what things feel like, a lot of sensory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the love, I'm focusing on kind of the visual or the smell, the experience of being in something, and it's that same sort of thing when I chose what I was longing for.
Mm,
I'm tying everything to like sensory, like what I'm
right.
feeling inside, how it's what it's evoking within me, both the
Right.
good and the bad, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, or maybe not bad, but um the shaky, you know? So that's just what I kind of discovered and what I was putting down on paper.
I love that. There's a spiritual teacher that I read a lot of her work, Pema Chodron, and she actually uses that term to describe the open heart, shaky tenderness. That shaky, tender space is how we access love and human connection, the soft spot for life. So, Talia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's any section that you're comfortable reading like verbatim what you wrote and not explaining it at all, just either a phrase or a few sentences.
Yeah, I feel the most comfortable sharing what I love because that's the
Sure.
easy one, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I just kind of made a list. So I'll just start. It's also interesting where my thought process went because it's kind of you'll see.
Yeah.
So I said the outdoors, fresh air, my dog, brownies. I don't know where that came into my thought process, but there it
Love it.
was. Um, exploring mountains, water, a hot shower, brushing my teeth, traveling, good wine, snow. So those were kind of
I
again
love
all over
it.
the place. So that's where my mind went.
It's beautiful. I love it. That's what I enjoy about these exercises. My story is your story is our story. Everyone can relate to snow or
And brownies, hello.
brownies. Hello. Yes. Okay. So kind of what I just did with Talia before somebody else reads, instead of relating to Talia how you feel or how your experiences meet hers, are there any particular phrases of what she just wrote that you could mirror back to her? Again, verbatim, you're not interpreting it. You're just saying, these are the phrases that resonated with me. If so, can you unmute and just kind of throw them out there?
I'll go.
Okay.
So the phrases that resonated with me are the enjoying, snow, the fresh air, the dog, and the brownies, and travel.
Cool. Anybody else? I loved brushing my teeth. Just because it's so simple, was just the really simple ones were the ones that really touched the kind of universal human experience for me. Okay, would anybody else like to share? Thank you so much, Talia. Di, awesome.
Hi, thank you. I'm going to share things I want. I want to feel safe. I want to remember to practice self-compassion. I want to feel unconditional self-acceptance. I want to feel confident and capable. I want steady, reliable habits that provide me energy. I want to make the right choices for myself every day. And I want to have energy between 6 and 8 p.m. to spend with my partner.
Mm.
Thank you
Wow,
for
beautiful.
listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Can anybody mirror back some phrases that resonated? If so, you can just unmute. Okay, we can keep moving. I loved the through line of self-care, self-compassion, and 6 to 8. That was my favorite part. Like the super specific, super simple stuff. I can totally relate to that because that's when I love to just eat dinner at home with my fiance. I watch like Big Bang Theory or something that is completely brainless. Just I call it junk food for my brain to kind of get out of myself. It's my favorite time to just preserve time to remember the part of me for who I am separate from all that I deal with in the day. So that was how I related to it. Okay. Anybody else want to share?
I can share.
Okay.
I have to go to a different screen, so I don't know if you're going to see me because I'm
Okay.
writing on my phone.
Sure. No worries. Thank you.
Sure. So I wrote things that I love, and I started with Haley, who's my daughter. Michigan, water, black dirt, freedom, peace, love, laughter, humor, and grass-fed butter.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to mirror back?
I love the black dirt. It's so specific, but it's so tangible just by describing it, right? And it's again that sensory that you just automatically get by just saying black dirt, right?
Yeah.
Like you could just feel it almost.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of people nodding heads and thumbs up. Cool. Okay. So should we keep writing? A few more exercises. Okay. So these exercises can bring up a lot of feeling, especially this next round. So the writing exercises are kind of mirroring the meditation cycle we did, right? It starts off with the comforting, the safe space, and then we move into the more challenging emotional stuff, and then we come back around to safety. So we're going to move into that section on the page. Okay. So if you want, let's take a second right before you write. Just close your eyes for a minute, tune into your body. Come back to the present moment. Your feet connected to the floor or the bed, your legs connected to the seat, to the chair, back of your head, top of your head. Just coming back into the body. And slowly open your eyes. And same thing, 45 seconds. Things I worry about or things I'm afraid of. Things I worry about or things I'm afraid of. And 45 seconds, go. And stop and breathe. And just soften. Notice where your body's holding what you just put on the page. And next one, things I'm angry about or things I hate. Things I'm angry about or things I hate. And breathing into it, 45 seconds, and go. Okay, and pause and coming back into the body. And soften. Maybe close your eyes and just check in. This more emotionally challenging stuff has its own physiological energy through your body, right? So instead of hardening it, softening to it. And again, developing that trust that your body is a safe container for all these feelings. Okay, so we're going to let that part go, come back into the space. And then we have one last section that's a little bit more challenging. This section is on grief and loss. These are kind of the layers we all have to deal with in living with chronic illness, is letting go of what was before in a more able-bodied life and coming into trusting and relaxing in what is. Okay, so either things I've lost or things I miss. Things I've lost or things I miss. 45 seconds, go. Okay, and bring that phrase to a close. And same thing, whatever's working for you, close your eyes, keep them open, just kind of connect back in with your body, back in with what you're feeling on a sensory level, to kind of use the word Talia's been referring to in meditation and on the page, connecting with that sensory experience and coming into the present moment. And then coming back into the room together. Okay. Is anyone comfortable sharing any part of what they wrote?
Hi, I don't mind sharing, but I don't know. It feels, I don't want it to be political.
To be political?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. This part is about telling your truth on the page. Whatever comes up, if it's your truth, it's yours, and you get to express it. So there are no rules on the page at all. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll share. It may make me emotional, so I'll just apologize in advance for that.
All good.
There's things I'm angry about. I'm angry about injustice, disinformation, dishonesty, cruelty, greed, corruption, ignorance, and the list the list like that. And
Mhm.
past couple of days, I've been having a lot of distraction with these really uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit vague if I could be, just, not to
Sure.
trigger anybody else, but
Sure.
really uncomfortable to carry it around.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody have anything they wanted to mirror back on that? Okay. So I'm sorry, go ahead. I think you unmuted.
Me,
Yeah.
I just feel uncomfortable with all that stuff, and it's been very overwhelming, and I started to have to turn it off because it was too triggering.
With the writing prompts?
I'm talking about what she was sharing
Yeah.
specifically, but yeah, more
Yeah.
than the writing prompts.
Yeah.
I was staying away from that.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes it's a lot of energy to hold a space for other people as well. And so stepping back from that and just holding a space for yourself in that moment and honoring it is all you can do, then that's all you can do. For me, in living with chronic illness, that's part of what I've had to learn. Is before, when I had a lot more energy in my able-bodied life, that's what I refer to it, I was doing much more service work, holding a space for other people, right? And as I'm learning to kind of preserve the energy I have and be way more selective with it because it's so slim, sometimes I've had to take, 8, 10, 16 steps back and just hold a space for myself with that kind of slither of light. So it's not like a steel wall that I'm pushing against that person, but it's just kind of a self-protective bubble. This is all I can do, is hold the emotion for my own experience right now. And for me as a woman, that brought up a lot of confusion. Like, I thought I wasn't as empathic as I was before. I was losing my heart or losing my capacity to contribute to life in the way that I knew before. And now I'm learning it's boundaries. It's the deepening of understanding really what it means to have boundaries. And boundaries are self-love and self-care and self-compassion without shutting the other person out. So Di, I just want to thank you for putting all that out there. It really took a lot of courage to voice those particular prompts in particular. It's challenging enough to hold a space for ourselves, much less, put it out there. So thank you. Is anybody else interested in sharing that section or even just a phrase of what they wrote? It doesn't have to be the entire entry.
I can share some of the things I miss.
Okay.
Being able to travel, being able to hike, and go outside in the woods or whatever. Being able to spend time out with people more than 2 hours, and just having friends, and that's pretty much all I was able to get to.
Yeah. Well, 45 seconds, right? Those are some pretty big things. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else want to mirror back some of what they heard? And just explain why we do the mirroring. The mirroring is to say literally what you heard somebody share from their writing. So like hiking was what stood out for me. That was a passion of mine before. I'm not able to do it anymore. So it resonated for me. And when I say I miss hiking, it helps you and I both acknowledge the longing and the loss. Together, we hold a space for that. So I don't have to tell you my whole story of hiking. I don't have to talk about me at all. All I have to say is that section of your writing is what resonated. And then we acknowledge what is in each other. So in my morning, in my day, My goal for myself today is not a to-do list anymore. My goal for myself is to relax and accept whatever is, whatever reveals itself today. So in a way, that's kind of what we're doing for each other by just mirroring back what you wrote and what you've shared. Does anybody else want to share? Okay, let's kind of shake that part off. And we'll move into the next section. And let's come back to the body and the breath. You can close your eyes or keep them open. And notice how your body's feeling now. And trusting that your body and your breath is the ultimate teacher and guide. So if anything I give you from here isn't working for you, you don't have to participate, you don't have to share. Your body and your breath knows what you need. So we take a moment to connect with that before we keep going. And when you're ready, we'll gently come back into the space. And I'm going to give you a couple of closing prompts now to bring this part of the workshop full circle. Okay, so you can choose things I've learned, things I believe in, things I'm passionate about. Things I've learned, things I believe in, or things I'm passionate about. And 45 seconds, go. And stop. Relax your body. And we have 2 more prompts to complete this part of the workshop. So you can take it or leave it. I know that these feelings bring up a lot of physical energy too, right? I can feel the physical expenditure and I'm not even doing the writing right now. Just holding the space is a lot. So really a lot. Okay, so let's breathe into what is and recognize what you need. And the next section is things I trust or things I know. Things I trust, things I know. And 45 seconds, go. And stop. In the very last one. So I'm going to explain this a little bit. So this next section is on spirituality. And for me, it was a way to use the page as a way to reframe what I believed in before and what I believe in now. So what does that mean to me, spirituality? For me, that's an ever-changing concept, an ever-changing life experience. As long as it's fixated, for me, that means intellectually it's an idea I'm attached to, but it's not necessarily something I can lean into when life gets hard, right? So it's a way to kind of use the page as a way to find your own truth again and again and again, and just keep coming back to it and keep kind of building strength with that relationship as it reveals itself to you, not on a preconceived idea that you had before that maybe is or isn't working anymore. Okay, so if you're comfortable, you're going to choose which word you're comfortable with under that umbrella of spirituality. So it's either my God wants me to, my heart wants me to, my spirit wants me to, or my body wants me to. So the last one I'm going to explain a little bit. My body wants me to. Paradoxically, the more my illness has taken a turn, the more I need my body to be my teacher and my guide, right? My intuition, for me, I'm just speaking for me, lives in the sensory experience of my body. What's too much, what's too little, what is self-care, what is self-love? My body is gonna guide that moment to moment to moment. I can't go on any ideas that I lived in accordance with before because they don't apply anymore. Not in this body with its new experience. So my body wants me to, connects me to my intuition, connects me to my higher power, connects me to my spirituality, and to my concept of God. So whichever works for you, my God wants me to, my spirit, my heart, or my body. Okay, let's do a minute on this one. Just give you a little bit more time. And whenever you're ready, go. And take your time, but bring that phrase or last few sentences to a close. And when you're ready, you can let that go. And let's bring your hands back, either to your legs, to your heart, to your belly, whatever grounds you, whatever connects you. Keep your eyes closed or open, whatever helps you feel steady and safe. And in the earlier part of the workshop, we had a meditation exercise, and there was one part that was about a safe space or a comforting memory. Let's see if you can exercise that muscle by just coming back into connection with that memory on a sensory level. So maybe choose an image. Maybe it's not the one you worked with before, a new one's coming to you. But just using the breath to calm the body. breathing in to where your body's talking to you. And when you breathe out, softening as much as your body will allow. And visually holding a space for that memory, the pleasant memory, the safe, comforting memory or image. And what does it feel like to embody that memory or embody that image in your fingertips, in your jaw, the back of your head, your knees, your toes? Just breathing into that safe space. And then very slowly coming back into the room when you're ready. No hurry. And come back to the page. So would anybody like to share something from this last section? Did you raise your hand?
Yeah. All right. It's brief. I put my spirit, meaning my own intuition, wants me to hold consistent boundaries and practice self-care and trust my intuition.
Wow, beautiful. Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I also wanted to read my
Great.
spirit wants me to.
Cool. Okay.
Be self-compassionate, be compassionate, experience love, take care of myself, show love, connect with a higher power, connect with a spiritual community.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
I also chose my spirit wants me to be free, be happy, feel, love, trust, embrace, give, hope, share, be open, keep going.
Beautiful. Anyone want to mirror back what they heard? Some of what they heard that resonated? Di, did you want to?
Sure. I heard a lot about being grounded and practicing careful, loving care of oneself and listening to intuition and heart opening and thoughts that are helpful, basically feeling supported by your thoughts and how you hold yourself. Those, sorry, they weren't exact words, but that's what it sounded like to me. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you just said that about the exact words. So the reason for the exact words is to set boundaries for the group so that people don't feel intruded on, but it's not like for right or wrong. If you don't say the words perfectly, that it was right or it was wrong. Yeah, thank you. It's interesting what you pointed out. What landed with me was I just kept hearing the theme of self-compassion. And it actually surprised me. I've done this workshop before, but today, for whatever reason, what was revealing itself to me as I listened was how much boundaries is self-care, is self-loving. I was, before coming into the workshop today, and I'm not sure I was even as conscious of this, boundaries was more about protecting myself from harmful energy coming in and feeling worthy to do that and kind of not guilty. And that was as far as I could get. I didn't really weave it together as much as I did today, listening to you all, and how much setting a boundary truly is an act of self-love and self-care and self-compassion. So thank you so much for sharing. It's a lot of energy to hold for yourself, for other people, a lot to give, a lot to receive. So thank you. Okay. We're coming up on the end of the hour, so I wanted to read you. This is a poem that I found on a blog somewhere. I didn't find it, a friend of mine sent it to me. And it's called For Those Who Have Far to Travel. This is not someone, as far as I know, who lives with chronic illness, but I thought that the words really helped me trust my spiritual path. Okay. If you could see the journey whole, you might never undertake it, might never dare the first step that propels you from the place you have known toward the place you know not. Call it one of the mercies of the road, that we see it only by stages as it opens before us, as it comes into our keeping step by single step. There's nothing for it but to go, and by our going take the vows the pilgrim takes, to be faithful to the next step, to rely on more than the map, to heed the signposts of intuition and dream, to follow the star that only you will recognize, to keep an open eye for the wonders that attend the path, to press on beyond distractions, beyond fatigue, beyond what would tempt you from the way. There are vows that only you will know, the secret promises for your particular path, and the new ones you will need to make when the road is revealed by turns you could not have foreseen. Keep them, break them, make them again. Each promise becomes part of the path. Each choice creates the road that will take you to the place where at last you will kneel to offer the gift most needed, the gift that only you can give before turning to go home by another way. And that's by Jan Richardson. Okay, so that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride and practicing with me, and I hope that it's helpful to you at some point in your journey. And just to remind you to take what you want and leave the rest, and reframe these, repurpose these in whatever way serves you. Thank you.